Personally, I avoid Western games as much as I avoid sports games. I play games to visit a different universe and do things I can't do in this world. At least until they can secure my head to a 50-foot robot body. Hurrah! If I wanted to play sports, I would play real sports. If I wanted to see what it was like 150 years ago, I would go visit the Amish. Now, Westerns had their heyday back in the 50s and 60s, but they were sent out to pasture alongside with film noirs and Gary Busey. When I first heard about Red Dead Redemption, I pegged it as Rockstar losing their goddamn minds. When was the last time you played a Western video game that didn't put you to sleep? Yeah, okay, I rest my case. But then again, I'm sure that's why they released it just before summer. No one really knew what to expect, but at least it's not Naughty Bear. God, that game sucked. Anywho, the premise is pretty simple. Think of Grand Theft Auto 200 years ago. I mean, give or take a few years, I guess. I mean, whatever. Then decide whether you want to be someone that is feared by all, or be like the sheriff who's here to clean up these here parts. And you've got Red Dead Redemption. Simple as that. Now, don't get me wrong, I enjoy a cowboy movie or two, and watching movies like that made me glad that I wasn't born in the days of the Wild West. But if I was, I would want to be a gun-toting, horse-riding, posse-heading hombre, just like the main character, John Marston. Dun-dun-dun. Okay. Now, Red Dead Redemption gives us exactly that. The chance to feel like a real cowboy, and a badass one at that. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. There is more to this game than just feeling like Clint Eastwood and John Wayne combined as one superhuman cowboy clone. So, let's get into it. Now, I live in a desert. Now, lots of people say, there is so much beauty around if you just look. They don't live in a desert. Not a lot of oohs and ahs when it comes to a place almost completely devoid of water, life, or color. The world of Red Dead Redemption does not suffer from this. Playing this game, you really understand what it means to be riding off into the sunset. While living in a place like this would sit about 900 on the list of places that I would live if I lived in a video game, I am still amazed at how pretty everything looks in its own broken down sort of savage way. Side note, leave a comment telling me which video game world you would like to live in. And if you do, I'll give you a great big internet hug. Or high five. Now, honestly, I have never wanted to lasso anything for at least 10 years. But seeing how real and seemingly easy it looks, I plan on buying a lasso as soon as I'm finished with this review. Now, while I'm more concerned with story and how a good game is at making me care about important characters, actually the overall feel of the music and the ambient sound was one of the elements that really grabbed me by the brain and sucked me into this game. While many parts of Red Dead Redemption borrow from Grand Theft Auto, it still has very much its own sort of identity. I don't remember the last time being able to hunt bears, pumas, deers, or buffalo in Liberty City, but maybe I just wasn't that into the game. Now, as you would expect from a Rockstar title, there is a myriad of things that you can do that don't have to do with the main story, such as riding shotgun and defending stagecoaches from robbers, lasso and break horses. Apparently break horses means train. I just thought meant you just pile drived him or drop kicked him. It's I broke you, horse. Take that. Now give me a ride. But you can also go on a cattle drive, play blackjack, Texas Hold'em, rob bandits and steal their treasures. You're yeah, take that, sucker. And, of course, when you get tired of it, you can always go back to the main storyline. But that's what Rockstar has always done for us, and we love them for it. Pointless, meaningless minigames. Thank you. And, of course, what is a cowboy without his guns? A dead one. Now, aside from a few defects here and there in close-quarter combat and taking cover, and the combat system is pretty solid. Marston has what is called Deadeye. Now, Deadeye slows down time and allows you to line up crosshairs along more than one target. Once you hit the right trigger, blam, 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 all are dead. Now, of course, you need to fill up your Deadeye meter once in a while, but for the most part, you can bust this little gem out a lot, and believe me, you are gonna need it. Now, aside from guns that you can buy and guns that you get from completing missions, you will also become very familiar with cannons and even a Gatling gun. Now, of course, you need a steed to get around because the world of Red Dead Redemption is ginormous. Now, you're given a default steed, but you can find wild horses to break and train. Not to literally break, but to train. And there's lots of horses around you can catch, but if you stick with one, it'll actually level up in its own way and increase its own stamina and speed, so that's pretty slick. Now, the horses can be frustrating to ride, but you run into some of the same problems with Marston too. For the most part, Marston acts like Marston, and the horse acts like a horse. Now, as far as storyline goes, grizzled-looking John Marston has to find his outlaw buddies and bring them to justice because apparently the government can't seem to do this themselves. So, of course, in order to give him an extra incentive, the government takes his son and wife away from him, and they will be returned safely when the job is done. Now, of course, this does not bode well for Marston or his ex-buddies, and he's shot, bang, and left for dead. Not the most complex plot, but with exceptional writing and solid voice acting, you really do care about what's going on with John and other important characters. The slight quibble that I have here is that my decisions, no matter how heinously awesome they are, don't really matter. Now, sure, I can rack up a bounty, but once that's taken care of, I'm good to go and on my merry way, and no one gives a crap. While it would be great to wander into a bank with a gun, demand money, pistol whip the teller, see a cutscene of me in jail, and then be done with it, I personally wouldn't complain. But this is a video game, and while there is a fame meter that tells me how honorable or notorious I am, the benefits and drawbacks are really hard to care about. The multiplayer is actually one of the most inventive ideas I've seen in any game that I've played. While most of the time I'd rather shoot an NPC in the face instead of getting teabagged by some 12-year-old from Scottsdale, the concept interested me enough to actually deal with these prepubescent bastards virtually squatting over my face as their only way to convey that, hey, they're better than me. Oh, look at that, I'm dying. Yeah, good for you, you little bastard. I hope you die screaming. Now, there are two main modes here, free roam and map-based matches. Match-based are just different forms of shoot the other guy, most with actual objectives. Now, in free roam mode, you can actually throw down a shared version of the game with friends or total strangers, whatever floats your boat. Once you have a leader, they decide what the posse will do, like taking down forts where bandits are hiding out, hunting wildlife, and collecting bounties. In free roam, you level up, get unlockables, and character models, and even a better mount. Now, this game isn't the next leap in technology, and some of the bugs are just as frustrating as they are funny. But all in all, it's a good place to go if you want to get away from it all.